Candy bar phones have been the tried and true preference for a long time. Designs have changed, been refined, and honed into desirable devices like the Galaxy S22 Ultra here. A few years ago, we had the first foldable phone from Samsung, and we recently got our fourth iteration of it. So what we're going to do today is take a look at how the Galaxy Z Fold 4 stacks up against the Galaxy S22 Ultra. As always, starting off with what comes in the box for both, you'll get a USB Type-C to C cable, a quick start guide, and a SIM ejector tool. With the S22 Ultra, you will get an S Pen, however that will be stowed inside of the device. The Z Fold 4 does not come with an S Pen, it must be purchased separately. The S22 Ultra has a fairly reasonable starting price at $1,199.99. It goes all the way up to $1,599.99. Storage options start at 128 gigabytes and go all the way up to 1 terabyte. The 128 gigabyte is the only one that comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM, while the other 3 choices come with 12 gigabytes of RAM. Though the 1 terabyte definitely exists, for some reason Samsung no longer has it listed on its website at this time. I wonder if that might have been to give this option to the Fold. Now, the Fold is no doubt the more expensive of these two devices. It has a starting price of $1,799.99 and goes all the way up to $2,159.99. You have 3 storage choices, which are 256 gigabytes, 512 gigabytes, and 1 terabyte. Each storage option comes with 12 gigabytes of RAM. The S22 Ultra definitely has the most color options of these two. It has 7 color choices that consist of Phantom Black, Phantom White, Burgundy, Green, which is what I have here, and the 3 Samsung.com exclusive colors, Graphite, Sky Blue, and finally Red or Salmon if you've seen any one of my other videos. The Fold 4 comes in Phantom Black, Gray Green, Beige, and the Samsung.com exclusive color, Burgundy. I guess Samsung might have either heard me complain about the lack of colors or just listened to everybody else's feedback, which I'm pretty sure that's what it is, because both of these phones are available in any color and storage configuration this time around. I really have to applaud the company for giving us a wider range of colors and choices on both fronts. Both devices are made with armor aluminum for the frame of their bodies. The S22 Ultra uses Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on its displays and cameras. The Fold 4 does the same for its cover screen and cameras, but the glass on the main display is Samsung's own ultra-thin glass, which still comes with its own durability specs, and has been made stronger this year by way of refinement through Samsung. The front of both devices have one similarity, which is the fact that they both have their front-facing cameras at the top. The differences are as plain as day when comparing the two. First off, the S22 Ultra has a taller and wider display when compared to the cover screen on the Fold. However, open up the Fold and you're treated to what is one of the biggest displays you'll see on any current device on the market. This display also has a camera situated at the top, but this time it sits to the right side of the display. The back of both devices have a matte glass finish, but you can see that the S22 Ultra has a wider range of camera tech than the Fold. The Ultra has 4 cameras and laser autofocus, while the Fold only has 3 cameras. Of course, we'll get into the camera specs at a later point. The left side of the S22 Ultra is very clean with nothing in particular to talk about, while the left side of the Fold 4 is where you'll see the almighty hinge that is crucial to the construction of the device. I guess the Fold actually has 2 left sides though, in a way, since when it's open, part of the device shifts directly to the left. Still nothing interesting going on here though. The right side of the S22 Ultra is where your power button and volume rocker lives. The FOLD4 has a similar setup, but its power button doubles as a fingerprint reader. The top of the S22 Ultra is flat with rounded corners on its edges. There's also a microphone there. The FOLD4 has a lot going on at the top with a large speaker grill and 3 microphones on its flat surface. The bottom of the S22 Ultra is where you'll find your S Pen, a small speaker, the charging port, and another microphone. The bottom of the FOLD4 is where you'll find another large speaker, a microphone, and your charging port. Both devices will not lay flat on a table, especially the Fold, since it does have a pretty thick camera bump. The S22 Ultra is the only one of the two that has a full-on IP68 water and dust rating, whereas the FOLD4 has an IP7 rating. I think at this point we can assume that the next foldables from Samsung will most likely not have a full IP rating unless they do a major design change that has a closed hinge design. The S Pen experience is more fully featured on the S22 Ultra since it can be stowed inside of the device, has air actions, and is arguably, but more generally convenient to use. The FOLD4 uses a special edition Fold S Pen that must be purchased separately. It cannot be used on any other device outside of the Fold series. It works as well as you'd expect the S Pen to work, but there are some potential issues for first-time users. That first potential issue is the fact that it needs to be purchased alone or with a specialized case that's designed to hold it. The second potential issue is the fact that there is no air actions functionality. For that, you'll have to purchase the S Pen Pro, but you'll have no place to store that particular pen. The S22 Ultra has a 6.8-inch display, while the FOLD4 has both a 6.2-inch cover display and a 7.6-inch main display. The resolution on the S22 Ultra's display is definitely higher than the resolution on both of the FOLD4's displays. However, even though the FOLD4's displays have lower resolutions, you really won't see any pixelation or anything of the sort unless you're really looking for it. One thing to note about the S22 Ultra is the fact that out of the box, it even comes set to the FHD Plus resolution. The FOLD4's resolution is set and cannot be changed at all. The Fold also definitely has the advantage over the S22 Ultra when it comes to having more content and displaying that content on screen. The display on the FOLD4 has also been upgraded with an increased perceived brightness in Samsung's word, and technically the S22 Ultra does have a higher max brightness, but for some reason the FOLD4's display seemed a little brighter or just as bright during my test. One interesting fact is that the Eco OLED Plus panel on the FOLD4 is said to consume 25% less power than the previous model's display. Both devices use the super speedy LPDDR5 RAM. It's sort of unusual to have a processor change within the same year, but that's the case here. The S22 Ultra utilizes the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, while the Fold has the newer Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus. The 8 Gen 1 Plus is said to have a 10% faster CPU that also has a 30% improved power efficiency. These features definitely lend themselves to the better battery life claims of the FOLD4 over the S22 Ultra, but as I mentioned before, only time will tell just how truly efficient this processor is. Both devices have the full range of 5G tech, which should come as no surprise. 5G seems to be becoming more available day by day, which is a good thing if you'd like to try it out on either one of these devices. Both devices also come with Bluetooth 5.2, Wi-Fi 6E, and other connectivity standards that let you transfer data over USB at a reasonably fast speed, let you use your phone as a credit card, and allow you to connect these devices to an external display by a cable or wirelessly. The front-facing camera on the S22 Ultra has a high resolution count at 40 megapixels, while the FOLD4 has the same 10 megapixel selfie camera as its predecessor. The under-display camera on the FOLD4 is unfortunately still 4 megapixels, and it still just feels like one of those cameras that is okay, but needs a lot of light to actually make pictures look good. It's pretty obvious that the S22 Ultra has the advantage in the rear camera department with its 4-camera setup. This setup consists of a 100 megapixel shooter, 3 and 10 times optical zoom, 100 times digital zoom, and laser autofocus. The FOLD4's rear cameras have seen a pretty respectable upgrade, however. You now have a camera that can take 50 megapixel shots, 3 times optical zoom, and a 30 times digital zoom. Basically the same camera setup as the S22 Plus and S22. Samsung has also stated that they upgraded the sensors to take 23% brighter night photos on the FOLD4. I'm pretty sure you all want to see some samples, so let's go ahead and just move right into those. At this point, we're going to move on to the speaker test and then the microphone test. So you're going to want to adjust your volume for this section because I do not control the volume. So please go ahead and do that now so I don't break your eardrums. Now, of course, for those out there who care about the microphone, here is that test. This is a test of the microphone on the S22 Ultra versus the microphone on the Galaxy Z Fold 4. This is a test of the microphone on the S22 Ultra versus the microphone on the Galaxy Z Fold 4. The battery on the S22 Ultra is definitely bigger than the one on the Fold 4. You're going to get 600 milliamps more than you would on the Fold 4, 45 watt charging for faster charging, 15 watt wireless charging, which is the same as what's on the Fold 4, and 4.5 watt reverse wireless charging. So what we're going to do here is do a battery test, and lately I've been trying to go ahead and think of a better way to actually do these tests. Now, watching a 4K video, you know, that's always going to be optimized on YouTube. So what I wanted to do now is I wanted to use the same test that I used to get the scores for my processor portion of my videos. And I want to do this extreme test and just have this run the battery down. This should work out the processor, the GPU that's on board the processor. It should work out the device. I've seen the devices basically get hot. So this should give you a very good idea of what the battery life would be like on these phones. So let's go ahead and do this test. I believe this whole test takes about maybe like 20 minutes or so. So it's 10:16 p.m. right now at the time of me filming this part of the video. So I will come back at 10:36 and we will see where they're at. So the Fold is sitting at 86%. And you can see it up here on the top on the S22 Ultra, but I will go to the same battery screen just for consistency. It's sitting at 89%. So this should give you sort of an idea of what the battery life would be like on both of these phones. Now, that test, like I said, is extremely strenuous. It pretty much puts the phones through their paces. Now, of course, we got to go ahead and do the charging test. So what I have done is I have drained both batteries to 64%, hopefully. Yep, 64%. And what I'm going to do is use two 25 watt chargers, and I'm going to leave these devices on for about 30 minutes and see exactly where they get to. So as you can see right here on the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, we're going to do that and then set the timer. And I will be back in 30 minutes. So we are back, and I'm a few seconds elapsed like always, but let's go ahead and check out the batteries. So as it stands right now, the S22 Ultra is sitting at 97% because I forgot to take out the chargers, but it's still valid here, I guess. While the Z Fold 4 is sitting at 94%. And as you can see, the projected battery life on the Fold 4 is less than what it is on the S22 Ultra. However, that's still not always the full story. It's always an estimate. But yes, this should give you an idea, of course, of how fast these phones will charge, at least on a 25 watt charger. Now, of course, the S22 Ultra can use a 45 watt charger. However, that may be a little bit cumbersome to actually have to bring with you every single time. It's something you have to think about. Whereas with the 25 watt charger, you probably have a few laying around. But yeah, that is the charging test. The biggest differences in software is the fact that the Fold 4 comes with Android 12L and One UI version 4.1.1. There aren't too many differences between the standard version of Android that Samsung uses and Android 12L, with the exception that Android 12L now has a desktop-like bar down here for easy switching and multitasking. This is pretty useful if you just want to go to apps faster. However, it is pretty limited in the sense that it really just mirrors the apps you have below the normal home screen here. One thing I do find pretty useful with Android 12L is the multi-window gesture, which consists of you either dragging two fingers in from the side or taking two fingers and swiping up from the top to enable multi-window. I can definitely see myself and everybody else being able to use this function because multi-window hasn't always been utilized in the best way on any of Samsung's phones. Other than these two facts though, there's not really much to talk about in the way of the software. Alright, so with all that being said, these phones are both high-end devices and they will both offer different people different things. However, one is going to be better for one individual while another one is going to be better for another individual. Either way, they're both great phones. They're great at what they do. They're great at what they bring to the table, and I am excited to see exactly what Samsung comes out with in the future. But as always, I do hope this comparison was very helpful. I do hope you learned something. And as always, wherever you are in the world, have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night. And I will see you in the next video.